When the daughter of the family I worked for whispered those three terrifying words, "I'm pregnant," and begged me not to tell her mother, I had no idea I was about to become the keeper of a secret that would tear this family apart. My name's Misha, and I've been a housekeeper for the Anderson family for 8 years. But nothing in those 8 years prepared me for the day 17-year-old Emma grabbed my arm in the kitchen, tears streaming down her face, and made me choose between my loyalty to her mother, my employer, and protecting a scared teenager who trusted me with her darkest secret. What I did next changed all of our lives forever. Before I continue with what happened that day, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Your support means everything to me as I share these real stories from my life. Now, let me take you back to that afternoon when everything changed. My hands were wrist-deep in soapy water, scrubbing the breakfast dishes in the Anderson family's pristine kitchen when I heard the front door slam. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I glanced at the clock above the stove, wondering why Emma was home from school so early. My name is Misha, and for 8 years I've been more than just a housekeeper to the Anderson family. I've been the one who listened to Emma's first heartbreak, who helped her study for algebra tests at the kitchen counter, who braided her hair before school dances when Mrs. Catherine Anderson was too busy managing her real estate empire. I've folded their laundry, cooked their meals, and kept their secrets, though none as heavy as the one I was about to carry. Emma rushed past the kitchen doorway, and I caught a glimpse of her face, red, blotchy, streaked with tears. My stomach dropped. In all the years I'd known her, I'd seen Emma cry maybe 3 times. She wasn't a crier. She was strong, determined, just like her mother. Maybe too much like her mother. "Emma?" I called out, drawing my hands on my apron. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" I heard her bedroom door slam upstairs, and that sealed it. I turned off the faucet and headed up the grand staircase, my worn sneakers silent on the plush carpet. Mrs. Anderson would be at her office until 6, and Mr. Anderson was in Chicago for business, as he usually was. It was just us. I knocked softly on Emma's door. "It's just me, honey. Can I come in?" Silence. Then a muffled sob, and the door cracked open. Emma's brown eyes, so much like her father's, were swimming with tears. She grabbed my arm and pulled me inside, shutting the door quickly behind us, as if someone might be watching. "Misha," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Misha, I'm in so much trouble." I guided her to sit on her bed, the same bed where I'd read her bedtime stories when she was 9, where we'd talked about her dreams of becoming a marine biologist, where she'd confided in me about her first kiss with Jason last summer. "Whatever it is, we can figure it out," I said, taking her trembling hands in mine. They were ice cold despite the warm October afternoon. "Just tell me what's wrong." Emma looked at me, and in that moment, she looked so much younger than 17. She looked like a terrified child. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air between us like smoke. My heart stopped, then started again, pounding against my ribs. I saw my reflection in that moment. Myself, at 16, sitting in a clinic bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines, my whole world crumbling around me. "Oh, sweetheart," I breathed, pulling her into my arms. She collapsed against me, her whole body shaking with sobs. "I'm so stupid, Misha. I'm so stupid. We used protection, we were careful, but..." Her words dissolved into crying, and I just held her, stroking her hair the way I'd done since she was a little girl with scraped knees and bad dreams. "You're not stupid," I said firmly. "You're scared, and that's okay, but you're not stupid." Emma pulled back, wiping her face with her sleeves. "I took 3 tests, all positive. I don't know what to do. Jason doesn't even know yet. And my mom..." Her face crumbled again. "God, Misha, my mom is going to kill me. She's going to absolutely lose it." I thought of Mrs. Catherine Anderson, with her perfectly styled blonde hair, her designer suits, her wall of awards and achievements. I thought of the college applications spread across the dining room table, the Yale pennant hanging in Emma's room, because that's where Catherine had gone, where Emma was expected to go. I thought of the country club luncheons, the charity galas, the carefully constructed image of the perfect family. "Don't tell my mom," Emma said suddenly, gripping my hand so tightly it almost hurt. "Please, Misha. I need time to figure this out. I need to think. She can't know. Not yet. Please." I looked into those desperate brown eyes, and I saw myself again. Not as I was now, a 42-year-old woman who'd survived her own teenage pregnancy, who'd given her baby girl up for adoption 25 years ago, who still thought about her on every birthday. I saw myself as I had been then, alone, terrified, with no one to turn to. I'd promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I'd be the person I'd needed back then. I'd be the safe place, the steady ground, the one who didn't judge or abandon. "I won't tell you, grandmother," I said softly. Emma blinked through her tears, confused. "What?" I managed a small smile, brushing a strand of hair from her wet face. "Your mom. I won't tell your mom. Not until you're ready." It was a strange thing to say. Catherine wasn't a grandmother yet, wouldn't be for months. But somehow, saying it that way made it real. This wasn't just Emma's crisis. This was a baby. A new person who would call Catherine grandmother someday, whether she was ready for it or not. Emma's shoulders sagged with relief, and she hugged me again, clinging to me like a life raft in the storm. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." As I held her, I felt the weight of the promise settling over me like a heavy coat. I was making a choice, to stand with this girl, to keep this secret from my employer, to risk everything I'd built here over the past 8 years, the steady paycheck that kept my small apartment, the health insurance, the family I'd become a part of, even if I was paid to be there. But when I looked at Emma, I knew I couldn't do anything else. She needed someone in her corner, someone who wouldn't judge or condemn or demand she fix this mess immediately. She needed time and space and unconditional support. I just didn't know yet what keeping that promise would cost me. "We'll figure this out together," I told her, pulling back to look at her face. "But Emma, you need to see a doctor. We need to know how far along you are. Make sure you're healthy." She nodded, wiping her nose. "Will you come with me?" "Of course I will." "And you really won't tell her?" I squeezed her hands. "I really won't. Not until you're ready. But Emma, eventually she'll need to know. We can't keep this secret forever." "I know," she whispered. "I just need time. Just a little time." I nodded, knowing that time was the one thing we didn't have much of. But for now, in this moment, I could give her this. I could be her safe place, even if it meant I was about to become the keeper of a secret that would change all of our lives forever. The next morning, I arrived at the Anderson house at 7 a.m., just like I had every weekday for the past 8 years. But everything felt different. The key felt heavier in my hand. The familiar scent of the lavender air freshener in the foyer made my stomach turn. Even the morning sunlight streaming through the tall windows seemed harsh, exposing, as if it could illuminate the secret I was carrying. Catherine was already in the kitchen, immaculate in a charcoal gray suit, scrolling through her phone while sipping black coffee from her favorite bone china cup. She looked up when I entered. "Good morning, Misha. Emma seemed off yesterday evening. Did she mention anything to you about school?" My heart lurched. I busied myself with hanging up my coat, not meeting her eyes. "No, ma'am. Just regular teenage stress, I think. You know how senior year is." The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. In 8 years, I'd never lied to Catherine Anderson. Sure, I'd kept small confidences. Emma's crush on the boy next door, a failed math quiz she retook, the time she snuck out to a concert. But this was different. Catherine nodded, already distracted by an email. "Well, keep an eye on her. She needs to stay focused. The Yale early decision deadline is in 6 weeks, and her interview is next month. Everything has to be perfect." Perfect. That word again. Catherine's favorite word, the one that hung over this household like a chandelier, beautiful but fragile, one wrong move away from shattering. "Yes, ma'am," I said quietly. After Catherine left for her office, I went upstairs to Emma's room. She was sitting on the bathroom floor in her pajamas, hugging her knees to her chest, looking pale and miserable. Morning sickness? I asked gently, closing the door behind me. I can barely keep anything down. How am I supposed to hide this? I grabbed a washcloth, ran it under cold water, and handed it to her. Small meals throughout the day, ginger tea, crackers before you even get out of bed. I'll bring some up tonight and hide them in your nightstand. Emma pressed the cool cloth to her forehead. You've done this before. It wasn't a question. She'd noticed the way I knew exactly what to do, the practiced ease in my voice. I sat down on the tile floor next to her, my back against the bathtub. I was 16, I said quietly. It was the first time I'd ever told Emma about this part of my life. My senior year of high school. My boyfriend was 18, heading to college. When I told him, he disappeared, changed his number, blocked me on everything. Emma turned to look at me, her eyes wide. What did you do? I told my parents. They were not supportive. They gave me 2 options, abortion or adoption. They wouldn't help me raise a baby, said I'd made my bed and I'd have to lie in it. I smiled sadly at the memory. So I chose adoption. Open adoption, which meant I got to meet the family, got updates and photos for the first few years. Emma's voice cracked. Do you regret it? I thought about Sofia. That's what her adoptive parents named her. I thought about the photos I still had hidden in a shoebox under my bed, a chubby baby with my nose, a gap-toothed first grader, a teenager in a soccer uniform. The photos had stopped coming when she turned 12, when her adoptive parents decided a clean break would be better for everyone. I regret not having a choice, I said honestly. I regret not having anyone in my corner who said, we'll figure this out together, whatever you decide. That's why I'm here with you now, because you deserve to have options, real options, not just the ones other people think you should choose. Emma started crying again, quiet tears running down her cheeks. I want to keep it, she whispered. Is that crazy? I'm 17. I haven't even graduated high school, and I want to keep my baby. I took her hand. It's not crazy. It's scary, and it's going to be hard, but it's not crazy. Jason doesn't know yet. I'm meeting him after school today to tell him. She looked at me with fear in her eyes. What if he runs like your boyfriend did? Then we'll deal with that too, I said firmly. But you won't know until you tell him. And Emma, honey, you need to see a doctor, soon. We need to know how far along you are. She nodded. Can we go Saturday? Mom has that open house all day and Dad's still in Chicago. Saturday it is. The rest of that week was a careful dance of deception. I became an expert at distraction and misdirection. When Catherine noticed Emma pushing food around her plate at dinner, I quickly mentioned a stomach bug going around school. When she commented on Emma sleeping in later than usual, I suggested she was just exhausted from college prep. When Catherine found Emma napping on the couch after school, something her driven, type A daughter never did, I attributed to staying up late studying. Each lie added another stone to the weight I was carrying. I'd catch glimpses of myself in mirrors and barely recognize the woman looking back at me. The woman who'd built her life on honesty and hard work was becoming someone who lied to her employer every single day. On Wednesday evening, Emma came home from meeting Jason with red-rimmed eyes, but something else in her expression. Relief, maybe even hope. He wants to be there, she told me in the laundry room, where I was folding towels and we could talk privately. He was scared at first, really scared, but then he said we'd figure it out together. He wants to be a dad. He actually used that word, dad. I felt tears prick my own eyes. That's wonderful, sweetheart. His parents don't know yet. He wants to wait until we have more information. He paused. He asked me to move in with him, after graduation. He's deferring college for a year, going to work at his uncle's construction company. He says he'll take care of us. My heart clenched. Jason was a good kid, respectful, hardworking, genuinely kind. But he was also 18 years old, and the reality of raising a baby was so far beyond what either of them could imagine. That's a big decision, I said carefully. Let's take this one step at a time, okay? Saturday morning came too quickly and too slowly all at once. Catherine left at 9 for her open house marathon, and by 9:30, Emma and I were in my beat-up Honda Civic heading to the women's clinic across town. Emma wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, paranoid about being recognized, even though we'd driven 30 minutes out of our wealthy suburb specifically to avoid that. The clinic was small but clean, with friendly staff and pamphlets covering every surface. Emma gripped my hand in the waiting room, her leg bouncing nervously. When they called her name, she looked at me with panic in her eyes. "Do you want me to come with you?" I asked. She nodded frantically. I sat beside her during the examination, holding her hand while the nurse practitioner asked questions and performed an ultrasound. Emma stared at the ceiling, tears sliding down into her hair, until the nurse turned the monitor towards us. "There's your baby," she said gently, pointing to a small, bean-shaped figure on the screen. "You're measuring at about 14 weeks. 14 weeks. 3.5 months. Emma's hand tightened around mine as we both stared at that tiny shape, barely recognizable as human, but undeniably alive. I heard Emma's sharp intake of breath, saw wonder break through her fear for just a moment. "That's my baby," she whispered. The nurse printed out ultrasound photos, explained prenatal vitamins, scheduled follow-up appointments. She handed Emma information packets about her options: parenting, adoption, abortion, without judgment, just facts. Emma tucked everything into her backpack like contraband. On the drive home, Emma was quiet, one hand resting on her still flat stomach, the other holding the ultrasound photo. 14 weeks, she finally said. "I can't hide this much longer, can I?" I glanced at her, at this girl I'd watched grow up, who was now growing a person of her own. "No, honey, you can't." "I need to tell her soon." "Yes, you do." "Will you be there when I do?" I pulled into the Anderson circular driveway and put the car in park. Catherine's Mercedes wasn't back yet. We had time, but time was running out faster than either of us wanted to admit. "I'll be there," I promised. But I wasn't ready. Not for what was coming. Not for the explosion that would tear this family and my place in it completely apart. 2 weeks later, everything started to fall apart. It began with Catherine's sharp eye at dinner on a Thursday night. Emma had been doing better with the morning sickness, but her body was changing in ways that baggy sweatshirts could only hide for so long. "Emma, have you been eating more lately?" Catherine asked, setting down her fork and steadying her daughter across the table. "Your face looks fuller." I was refilling water glasses and nearly dropped the pitcher. Emma's fork froze halfway to her mouth. "Maybe a little," Emma said, trying to sound casual. "I've been stressed about applications, so I've been snacking more." Catherine's eyes narrowed. "Stress eating isn't healthy. We should schedule you some sessions at the gym. You need to stay in shape. College is only 9 months away." 9 months. The words hung in the air like a guillotine. In 9 months, Emma wouldn't be starting at Yale. She'd be holding a baby. "Sure, Mom," Emma said quietly, pushing food around her plate. After dinner, I found Emma in the bathroom again, but this time she wasn't sick. She was standing sideways in front of the mirror, her shirt pulled tight across her belly. There was a small but unmistakable curve there now. "She's going to notice," Emma whispered, her hands trembling as they rested on her stomach. "Any day now she's going to figure it out." "Then maybe it's time," I said gently. "You're 16 weeks now. You said you wanted to tell them soon." I know. I just..." Emma's voice broke. "I keep hoping I'll wake up and this will all be a bad dream, or that I'll suddenly know the right words to say to make her understand. But there are no right words, are there?" "No, there aren't." The following Monday, my phone rang while I was grocery shopping for the Andersons. It was Emma, calling from school, her voice high with panic. "Misha, I passed out in gym class. They called my mom." My blood ran cold. "Are you okay? Is the baby?" "I'm fine. The baby's fine." The school nurse said it was probably low blood sugar, but Mom is on her way to pick me up, and Misha, she's going to take me to the doctor, our family doctor. What do I do? Think, Misha, think. Tell her you're feeling better. Tell her it was just because you skipped breakfast. Insist you don't need to see Dr. Morrison. Can you do that? I'll try. She sounded so small, so scared. But if she forces me, then you'll have to tell her the truth. In a doctor's office with medical professionals there might actually be the safest place. I can't do this over the phone. I'll call you later. She hung up and I stood in the middle of the cereal aisle, clutching my phone, feeling utterly helpless. Emma managed to convince Catherine she was fine. She'd skipped breakfast, stayed up too late studying, was just exhausted. Catherine lectured her the whole drive home about self-care and not jeopardizing her future with careless health habits. The irony would have been funny if it weren't so painful. But Catherine's suspicions were fully awake now. She started watching Emma like a hawk, commenting on her tiredness, her changing figure, her emotional sensitivity. And she started watching me, too. On Wednesday afternoon, Catherine came home early from work, something she never did. I was in the kitchen preparing dinner when she appeared in the doorway, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. "Misha, can we talk?" My heart started pounding. "Of course, Mrs. Anderson." She pulled out a chair at the kitchen table and sat down, gesturing for me to do the same. This had never happened before. In 8 years, Catherine had never asked me to sit down for a conversation. "You and Emma have always been close. She trusts you. Sometimes I think she trusts you more than she trusts me." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. "So, I'm going to ask you directly, and I need you to be honest with me." Catherine leaned forward, her blue eyes boring into mine. "Is Emma in some kind of trouble? Is there something going on that I should know about?" The moment stretched between us like taffy, pulled thin and ready to break. I thought about Emma's tear-stained face, about the ultrasound photo hidden in her drawer, and about the promise I'd made. "I won't tell your grandmother." I said, "She's stressed about college." The lie coming easier now, worn smooth by repetition. "Senior year is hard. She's putting a lot of pressure on herself." Catherine's eyes studied me for a long moment, and I could see she didn't entirely believe me, but she also couldn't prove anything. "If there's something you're not telling me, Misha, I hope you understand that I pay you to help this family, not keep secrets from me." The words felt like a slap. After 8 years, that's what it came down to? I was paid help? Bought loyalty? "I understand, Mrs. Anderson," I said quietly. That night, Emma texted me at 11 p.m. "We need to tell them, this weekend. I can't do this anymore." I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "I'll be there with you, I promise." Friday night, I lay awake in my small apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every possible scenario of how this weekend could go. Catherine's anger, Robert's disappointment, Emma's tears, my unemployment. I'd already started mentally cataloging my savings, calculating how long I could last without income, updating my resume in my head. But Saturday morning brought a crisis I hadn't anticipated. I arrived at the Anderson house to find Emma's car in the driveway, but the front door was locked. I used my key and immediately heard raised voices upstairs, Emma and Catherine shouting at each other. I took the stairs 2 at a time and found them in Emma's room. Clothes were scattered everywhere, a duffel bag half-packed on the bed. "What's going on?" I demanded. Catherine whirled on me. "She's running away. I found their packing at 6 in the morning." Emma's face was blotchy and swollen from crying. "I wasn't running away. I was going to stay with Jason for a few days. I just need space." "Space? You're 17 years old. You don't get to decide you need space." Catherine's voice was shrill, her perfect composure cracking. "What is going on with you? The weight gain, the mood swings, the exhaustion, and now this? Are you on drugs? Are you depressed? Talk to me." Emma looked at me, and in that moment, I saw her making a decision. The secret had become too heavy, the lies too tangled. The truth was clawing its way out whether we were ready or not. "Mom, Emma said, her voice shaking but steady. I need you to tell you something, and I need Misha here when I do. Please, can we just all sit down? Catherine looked between us, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly, the first crack I'd ever seen in her armor. This is serious, isn't it? She whispered. Emma nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yeah, Mom, it's serious. We sat in Emma's room, Catherine perched on the edge of the desk chair, ramrod straight, despite her trembling hands. Emma on her bed, knees pulled to her chest, and me standing near the door, feeling like an intruder in a moment that was about to shatter this family. Should I call your father? Catherine asked, her voice tight. Should Robert be here for this? Emma shook her head. He won't be home until tomorrow night anyway. And I can't wait anymore, Mom. I can't keep doing this. Catherine's jaw clenched. She looked at me with something between suspicion and accusation. And Misha needs to be here because she's the only one who's been there for me, Emma said, her voice stronger than I expected. The only one who didn't make me feel like I had to be perfect every second of every day. The words landed like a physical blow. Catherine flinched, her mouth opening and closing, but Emma wasn't done. Mom, I'm pregnant. The silence that followed was deafening. I watched Catherine's face cycle through emotions, confusion, disbelief, shock, and then something that looked like grief. Her perfect daughter. Her Yale-bound, accomplished, carefully cultivated daughter. No, Catherine said simply, as if she could deny it out of existence. No, that's not possible. You're 17, you're focused on school. You don't even... She stopped, realization dawning. Jason. Emma nodded, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. We were careful, Mom. We used protection. But it happened anyway, and I'm 16 weeks pregnant and I'm keeping the baby. 16 weeks! Catherine's voice rose to a near shriek. You've known for 16 weeks and you didn't tell me? I was scared, Emma shot back, scared of exactly this. Scared of disappointing you, scared of ruining all your plans for me, scared of... Plans? Catherine laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Plans? Jason is 18 years old. He's a boy. He has no idea what raising a child requires. Neither of you do. I watched Emma's face crumble, watched her shrink under her mother's words, and something in me snapped. She knows it's hard, I said quietly. Both of them turned to look at me. She knows exactly how hard it's going to be because I've been honest with her about what she's facing. But she's not alone, Mrs. Anderson. She has Jason, and she has me, and she could have you if you'd... You. Catherine's eyes went cold as she focused on me fully for the first time. You knew. How long have you known? My throat went dry. She told me the day she found out. And you kept this from me. It wasn't a question. For months, you looked me in the eye every single day and lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell me my daughter was pregnant. That's not lying. Catherine's voice was shaking now with fury or hurt or both. You trusted me, Misha. I welcomed you into our home, into our family, and you betrayed that trust. I didn't betray anything, I said, my own voice rising. I was there for a scared teenager who needed someone in her corner, someone who wouldn't judge her or try to control her or make her feel like she'd ruined everything by being human. How dare you? Catherine briefed. How dare you stand in my house and tell me how to parent my daughter? Someone needed to. The words burst out before I could stop them. Because all she's ever felt from you is pressure to be perfect, to get perfect grades, get into the perfect school, live the perfect life. She's 17 and terrified, and the only reason she didn't come to you is because she knew you'd react exactly like this. The room fell silent, except for Emma's quiet sobbing. Catherine stared at me, her face pale, and I knew I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. Get out.
Catherine said, her voice deadly calm. "You're fired. Get your things and get out of my house." "Mom, no!" Emma jumped up. "This isn't Misha's fault. She was just helping me." "She was lying to me," Catherine said, not taking her eyes off me. "She was keeping my daughter's life-changing secret from me while I paid her salary. That's a betrayal, Emma, even if you can't see it yet." "If she goes, I go," Emma said desperately. "I mean it, Mom. Misha has been the only person who's actually listened to me, who hasn't treated me like a problem to fix." "You are a problem to fix," Catherine shouted, finally losing her composure completely. "You're 17 and pregnant. We need to fix this. You need to—" She stopped herself, but we all heard what she almost said. "What?" Emma said coldly. "Get an abortion? Make this all go away so you don't have to be embarrassed at the country club?" "That's not what I—" "Yes, it is." Emma's voice was steady now, hardened by hurt. "You want me to fix it so everything can go back to perfect. But I'm not getting an abortion, Mom. I'm keeping my baby. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I should leave." She grabbed her half-packed duffel bag and pushed past me toward the door. Catherine stood frozen, devastated, watching her daughter walk out. "Emma, wait!" Catherine started, but Emma was already gone, her footsteps thundering down the stairs. We heard the front door slam, then her car starting in the driveway. Catherine sank into the desk chair, her head in her hands. For the first time in 8 years, I saw Catherine Anderson cry. "You should go," she said, without looking at me. Her voice muffled. "Please just go." I wanted to say something, sorry, or that Emma would come back, or that somehow this would all work out, but there were no words that could fix what had just broken. So I left, walking out of the Anderson house for what I was certain would be the last time.
3 weeks passed in a fog of uncertainty. I filed for unemployment, updated my resume, and tried not to think about the Anderson family every waking moment. But I failed. I thought about Emma constantly, wondered if she was okay, if she was eating properly, if the baby was healthy. I thought about Catherine too, though I'd tried not to. The image of her crying haunted me more than I wanted to admit. Then, on a gray November afternoon, my phone rang. Emma's number. "Misha," her voice was thick with tears. "Can you meet me? Please? I really need to talk to you." We met at a small cafe downtown, far from her neighborhood. Emma looked different. Her belly was unmistakably rounded now, visible even under her oversized sweater. She looked tired, but also somehow more settled, more at peace than she'd been in months. "I'm staying with Jason's family," she told me over tea. "His mom has been amazing. She's helping me with everything, doctor's appointments, prenatal classes, everything." She paused. "My mom hasn't called. Not once." My heart broke for her. "I'm sorry, sweetheart." "Dad's tried. He calls every few days, but Mom won't even talk about me. It's like I don't exist anymore." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I knew she'd be disappointed, but I didn't think she'd completely cut me off. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Give her time. She's hurt and scared, and sometimes people need space to process things." "You're not mad at me, are you, for getting me fired?" "Oh, Emma, no." I gripped her hand tighter. "Never. I made my choice, and I'd make it again in a heartbeat. You needed someone, and I'm glad I could be that person." We talked for over an hour about the baby, a girl, about her plans to finish high school online, about Jason working construction and saving money. She showed me new ultrasound pictures, and I felt that familiar ache of joy and loss mixed together. When we parted, she hugged me tight. "I love you, Misha. Thank you for never giving up on me." "I love you too, sweetheart. Always." 2 days later, someone knocked on my apartment door. When I opened it, Catherine Anderson stood there, looking smaller somehow,
less polished. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup minimal. "May I come in?" she asked quietly. We sat in my tiny living room, an awkward silence stretching between us. Finally, Catherine spoke. "I've been in therapy," she said abruptly, "since Emma left. My therapist asked me why I was so angry with you, and I realized—" She stopped, her voice breaking. "I wasn't angry with you. I was angry with myself. You were there for my daughter when I wasn't. You gave her what she needed: support, understanding, unconditional love. And instead of being grateful, I punished you for it." I didn't know what to say. I've spent 17 years trying to give Emma a perfect life, but what I really did was make her afraid to be imperfect, afraid to fail, afraid to come to me when she needed help most. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I lost my daughter because I was more concerned with how things looked than with how she felt. "You haven't lost her," I said gently. "She's hurt, but she still loves you. She wants you in your life, Catherine. She just needs to know you accept her, all of her, including her choices." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I know. I've started reaching out. Small steps." She's cautious, but she's responding. She looked at me directly. "I came here to apologize, Misha, for how I treated you, for firing you, for everything. You were right about all of it, and I'm sorry." "I accept your apology," I said softly. "And I came to ask if you'd consider coming back, not as a housekeeper, as a friend, as family. Emma's going to need support when the baby comes, and so am I, if you're willing." I thought about holding grudges, about wounded pride, about the easy choice to walk away. Then I thought about Emma, about a baby girl who would need all the love she could get. "I'm willing," I said. 6 months later, I stood in a hospital room watching Catherine hold her granddaughter for the first time. Emma lay exhausted in the bed, Jason beside her, and I stood in the corner, trying not to cry. The baby was perfect, tiny and pink, with the shock of dark hair and Emma's nose. Catherine was crying, whispering to the baby, transformed by wonder. "What's her name?" Catherine asked softly. Emma looked at Jason, then at me, then back at her mother. "Sofia, Catherine. Sofia after someone who means the world to Misha, and Catherine after you, Mom, after the woman I hope I can become, strong and fierce, but also willing to grow." I felt my knees go weak. Sofia. She'd named her baby after my daughter. "Misha, come here," Emma said. "Come meet Sofia." I walked over and Emma placed that warm, tiny bundle in my arms. I looked down at baby Sofia and saw the future, messy and uncertain and absolutely beautiful. "Hi, little one," I whispered. "I'm your grandma Misha." Because that's what I'd become. Not the maid, not the hired help, but family, chosen family. The kind that forms not through blood or obligation, but through showing up when it matters most. Emma was finishing high school online. Jason was working hard and being an incredible father. Catherine was learning to let go of perfection and embrace reality. And me? I was the baby's nanny now, but more than that, I was part of this imperfect, beautiful, broken, and healing family. That day in Emma's room when she'd said, "I'm pregnant," through her tears, and I'd promised, "I won't tell your grandmother," I couldn't have imagined we'd end up here. But sometimes secrets break open to reveal not just truth, but grace. Sometimes the thing that nearly destroys a family becomes the thing that saves it. Sometimes the hardest choice becomes the greatest blessing. Thank you so much for being here with me through this journey. This story changed my life in ways I never expected, and sharing it with you means the world to me. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below telling me what you thought. Did Catherine's redemption feel real to you? Have you ever had to keep a difficult secret? I read every single comment, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider joining our community. I share real stories from my life, the messy, the beautiful, the heartbreaking, and the hopeful. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And remember, sometimes the people who aren't related to us by blood become the family we were always meant to have. Until next time, this is Misha, reminding you that love shows up in the most unexpected places.